up, guys? Low here, EM3 Strength and Conditioning. I'm really excited because this is our first episode of The Conspiracy Against Muscle. The truth you are not being told. So again, this is our first episode. I'm really excited. This is something I thought about because I watch a lot of these supplemental commercials, ads, and things, just like you see on your feed or on TV. And it really got me to thinking about all these claims that all these supplements, help you do things like that, and how muscle can do the same things these supplements are claiming they do for you. Now, I'm not saying that the supplements don't do what they say they're gonna do, but I'm gonna prove my point on how muscle can do the same thing and also help the supplements carry their functions along many, many, many different systems. But first, I want to touch upon who we are. My name is Loami. I own EM3 Strength and Conditioning along with my partner, Penny Hoffman. We are located right here in Northampton, Pennsylvania, 1631, right here on Main Street. And what we focus on is small group personal training, all right? And we also focus on how to train as you age, because as you age, things change. Therefore, your training has to change. And that's what this series is all about. How do we train? How do we keep going? How do we stay fit? How do we stay strong into our 40s, 50s, 60s, and well beyond? All right, we are told that as we age, we have to slow down, we got to stop this, we got to stop that. And that's the very advice that leads to our depreciation. And what we do here is we show everyone how to fight that depreciation. You can only fight it. No matter what you do, no matter what you take, you can only fight it. It eventually will take you out, all right? So the focus has to shift from, in your training, that is, your focus has to shift from looking good, in a chiseled chest, ripped abs, looking good naked, this and that. It becomes less aesthetic and more functional. So when you start training and you get older, certain things become more important than others. All right. And that's what we're going to touch upon here. All right. The conspiracy against muscle, the truth you are not being told. All right. Why you are not being told, I'm not sure. I don't know if it's something that's honestly being withheld, or maybe it's just not, in the curriculum. All right. But the conspiracy against muscle is just that. Why is it that, as far as our health is concerned, all we rely on is blood work? How's your cholesterol? How's this? How's that? What happened to the fitness test? All right, cool. Your blood work looks good. Well, let's see what you can do. Let's see how fast you can run. Let's see how much, you can lift above your head, or you can squat, things like that. Can you squat? Are your mechanics still good? Because that's the stuff that's going to move you around and make your life easier, as opposed to, your cholesterol is great, which is great. Again, I'm not saying nothing against that. I'm just saying there's more to it than just that. So I'm going to put my handy dandy glasses on, because this first episode is called what? WTF is going on with me? Or as I like to say, what the fuck is going on with me? Because let's face it, that's the question we ask ourselves. Like, what's going on? I used to be able to X, Y, Z, and A, B, C, D, E, F, and all the letters in between. And now I'm having issues. All right, issues. I have my handy dandy notebook here because as we age, this thing kind of starts to go haywire too. Therefore, I have a whole lot of stuff written down here that I'm going to share with you. And again, if you have any comments or questions, definitely comment, definitely ask the questions, but I'm not going to tell you that I have the answer right now. But if you ask a good question that I don't have an answer to, I will definitely research it for you. Okay? So the first thing that I'm going to touch upon is that, uh, uh, okay, well, muscle. All right. Most people think muscle is, not most people think. We all know that muscle, the musculoskeletal system, let's say, or the muscle system, whatever you want to call it, is what moves you around. For instance, I can do all this stuff because I got muscles, right? They're attached to my skeleton, which allow me to, pop, lock, and break dance and do all that fun stuff. All right. One thing you have to realize also that your digestive system is also muscle. That's the smooth muscle, involuntary muscle. That's the muscle you don't have to think about. Okay? You don't have to think about this muscle. This muscle is going to do its thing. It doesn't necessarily get stronger or weaker. It just does its thing. All right. The heart is kind of, it's not a smooth muscle. First of all, there's a bunch of muscles in there. It's not smooth, but it is involuntary. You have very, very little control of that. All right. And that's kind of, I guess, maybe basically what we think muscles are and what they do. All right. Totally true. Totally true. The issue is the muscles also is kind of like almost like the mouth of the endocrine system, because the endocrine system secretes, all these hormones, but the body has to demand those hormones from the body, from itself. Okay, it's a weird way to put it. From itself, in order for it to do those things that those hormones support. All right, very broad, I get it. So the first word I want to come across is sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss and strength. Age-related muscle loss and strength. What does that mean? That means as we get older, we're going to automatically lose our muscles. It could start as early as 30, especially if you are not into fitness, if you're a very sedentary person. That will come in very, very, very early for you. And you really, really want to fight that as much as you can. Anyway, age-related muscle loss. As you age, you're going to lose your muscle. You're going to lose your strength simply because you're moving, you're doing, you're living. Okay. And as you get older, your body wants to do less and less. Your body literally wants to do less and less. All right. But you can fight that. How? By building muscle. Resistance training, which builds muscle, will also help build bone density and stuff. That anyway, sarcopenia, that is what that is. Age-related muscle loss. Can't You can fight it, but it will come no matter what. All right, doesn't matter what you do, what you take. In the end, it happens. It happens. It happens. All right. Now the thing is, that it's not something that you're walking around. One day you're like, oh man, I'm so weak. No, it's not like that. It starts very, very subtly, very subtly. So, for instance, you can sit here and every day you carry your groceries, carry groceries. And then one day you kind of figure out, like, oh, I don't know, my hand, damn, I usually can make it all the way up on the porch, into the house, into the kitchen. And now I can't. All right. Start to lose strength. Things become heavier. I tell my clients this every day. Man, these weights keep getting heavier. It says 40 pounds, but I swear, man, they're getting heavier. And that's all part of it. Even if you're strong, even if you're strong and healthy and fit, you're still gonna feel that loss. But that's the trigger that tells you to one, keep going, all right, and two, that this is really, really happening. This really, really happens. All right, you're talking about 1% per year of muscle after 50, 1% per year. And that's if if you sit around, if you're not doing anything, you can lose up to 1% of muscle per year. Might not sound like a lot, but if you ever make a business deal and you ask for 1%, you know what I'm saying? They might look at you like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Of course, depending on the dollar amount. After 50, 1% of muscle, that's what you're going to lose. That's what you're going to lose. That's what you're going to lose. Okay? Unless you do something about it. Strength declines up to 3% annually. So that 1% of muscle equates to 3% of your strength, current strength. Now think about that. If you sit around and if you're not active, not even more than active, resistance training, building muscles, stressing your muscles, stressing your bones, that 3% is a lot. And that will be very, 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 very noticeable. All right. What you need to do is you need to strength train. You need to resistance train. All right. Um, when you build muscle, you are putting money in the bank. You are building a foundation. You are setting your retirement. All right, physically. All right, that's what's going to keep you going, your muscles. Again, yes, cardio is great. It is good. It's great for the heart, keeps the blood pumping, keeps the circulatory system going and going, but it doesn't offer the resistance you need to reach hypertrophy, which will build muscle. Now, here's the thing. I'm not talking, you don't have to be huge. You don't have to be everyone doesn't have to be huge with a 60-inch chest. Nobody, you don't have to be, I'm talking about more muscle than you have now. The most muscle you can put on naturally, or that you can put on, because it takes time, it takes effort. All right. So you may not have, 8 hours a day to pack that muscle on. You don't need that. What you need to focus on is that resistance training. All right. So one of the things that also starts to fail internally is insulin resistance. As we all know someone who's diabetic. And one of the things that for me is crazy is the fact that they, yes, watch your diet. Yes, watch your glucose. Yes, exercise. But what kind of exercise? I think that's the problem. For someone who's diabetic, weight training, lifting weights, resistance training is very, very important. And I feel, in my very humble opinion, it should be pushed. Not just exercise. Oh, just exercise, go to the gym. No, not just getting on the treadmill. No, especially getting on the treadmill. That's probably not the best thing for someone who's diabetic. I'm not going to lie. Not the best thing. All right. Build the muscle to build the insulin resistance. All right. I'm not going to say it's going to replace your medication, but it will aid it and possibly maybe reduce the amount you have to take. Again, these are conversations you need to have with your doctor, but have the conversation. Ask your physician, why aren't you telling me to build muscle? You tell me to exercise, but what kind of exercise should I be doing? You should do resistance. What kind of resistance training? What kind of movements should I be doing? It's important because a deadlift is going to go way further than a bicep curl. All right. It's very important what kind of exercise you're doing. All right. Build muscle to build insulin resistance. All right. This is something that you're not going to see right away. Like, oh no, I think I'm losing my resistance to insulin. I feel it in my veins. No, you're not going to feel it in your veins. Your doctor's going to tell you that, well, your blood work says you're, pre-diabetic. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's how it sneaks up on you. That's something you're not going to feel. Maybe you might feel sluggish or whatever, but you might say, I'm just tired from work. I've been working 10-hour days for 40 weeks and I'm just tired from work. And no doubt, if you work in that schedule, you are definitely tired. But, feeling sluggish and stuff can be signs and symptoms of pre-diabetes and stuff like that. But it sneaks up on you. It sneaks up on you. All right. And you don't have to be overweight either. All right, we'll get into the overweight and how someone who's like, wow, but you're thin. How are you diabetic? We'll get into that. All right, let's say, okay, I'm not sure what that says. It says most people and doctors say it's normal. And oh, yes, I do know what that means. That your steady decline is normal. Now, yes, but it does not have to be debilitating. It does not have to put you on a walker. It does not have to put you in a wheelchair. It does not have to put you in a state where you shuffle your feet and you need help getting up off the seat or sitting down. It does not have to be like that. Yeah, maybe you're not going to be able to do that 7 minute mile, 6:30 minute mile, but hey, you know what I'm saying? You'll be able to get up and off the toilet easily. You'll be able to get up off the floor easily. This is what muscle does for you. Muscle is what's going to get you up off the floor when you fall. It doesn't matter how fast your mile is, it does not matter. All right. When you fall, it's your muscles, it's your strength that's going to get you back up. All right. Again, I'm not saying stop running. No way, man. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying you really need to focus more on strength training and building muscle as we age, because that's what's going to make our quality of life better. All right. Moving on. So, modern medicine does not test for strength. Strength does not show up on blood work. So, again, this goes into what I said earlier. Why? This is, I feel, have this talk with your physician. um, Ask them about muscle and how it works, and how it can help you with your health, even if you don't have any health issues. You know what I'm saying? If your heart's great, if you're not diabetic, if everything looks good or whatever, but you want to do something for yourself, ask them about muscle and how it works. How does it drive endocrine functions? How does it drive hormone release? How does it control your insulin or help control your insulin? All right, and glucose levels, because that's what muscles use for energy. So, strength does not show up on blood work. All right. Blood work a lot is kind of like your car's all messed up, but you got the oil changed, and you got the and you got the brakes fixed and stuff. But you're not gonna run it and see if it feels good. You know what I mean? Or like you're going to buy a car and you're like, oh yeah, it looks good. But let me sit in it. You sit in it, you open the hood, you open the trunk, you take a look and you say, I'll take it. But you didn't even drive it. Nah. It looks good though. So it has to be good. All right. That's what kind of like looking at blood work is like. Everything looks great. Okay. See you next week. And there goes hobbling out. Okay. Thank you. Doctor says I'm good. Okay. Well, you know, there are ways to prevent that. Once you're there, it's a tougher, it's a tougher hill to climb, but you can do it. You can improve your situation. All right. You always have to consider your starting point. All right. You can't expect to go from walker to, Olympic sprinter. That's not going to happen. All right. But you can maybe go relying less on it. Now, it also depends if there are other circumstances. You know what I'm saying? If there's an injury, a hip injury, if there's a broken something, that's different. That's different. I'm saying if everything's mechanically okay, all right, you can always do something to better your situation by lifting, resistance training, strength training. Okay, now as we age, here's the problem. Here's the problem with muscle loss is that you don't realize it until it's too late. So, for instance, you're walking, you fall. Uh, y- um, you're standing up, you lose your balance. These things sound like, oh, that sounds normal. That all has to do with muscle and how much muscle you have on you, how strong you are, how strong your core is. All these things. Most people feel like, oh, I lost my balance, that's why I fell. No, most people fall not because they lose their balance, but because they don't have um, a strong core, strong hips. You know what I'm saying? One of the best exercises to do for balance, by the way, is fast feet. Moving your fast feet, a lot of footwork, because when you trip and fall, it's like in football. Just keep moving your feet, moving your feet. until you get your balance back, or football until you get taken down, whatever. Now, most people, and again, I'm 50 years old. Most people my age and beyond, they're like, oh no, I don't want to lift weights because it's dangerous, because I can hurt myself, because um, I heard it's not good for you. I heard that cardio is better and this and that. And it's not that cardio is bad. It's not enough. And we'll get that into the next episode. It's not enough. Cardio is great, but you need to get that resistance training, because cardio will not build your bone density. It will, but not to the point that resistance training can. Why? Well, one, it's all the whole progressive overload. It's about lifting heavier and heavier and heavier. Some of my clients, when they first come to me, they're like, "Oh, I never, I never, lift more than the 15 pounds or the 20 pounds." You know, then I look at them and say, and then you're wondering why you're not getting any results. Yeah, those 15 pounds feel heavy, but you keep lifting them. Therefore, you're not progressively loading or overloading your muscle or even your nervous system. All right. So that's why cardio isn't enough. Again, we'll get into that in the next episode. So yeah, most people feel that they're gonna get hurt. Most people don't know how or where to start, which is the issue almost across the board when you're getting into this. You want to start and you want to this and you want to that, but it's like starting a business. Where do I start? Honestly, you just have to start. If you don't know anything, I would say start the machines, but that's another episode. All right, here we go. Here we go. Moving on, moving on. Many people avoid resistance training due to lack of knowledge and fear of injury. Just covered that. Body composition, not weight, is all important. So I'm going to get into this word called sarcopenic obesity. Sarcopenic obesity. You know what that is? I thought someone snuck in behind me. You know what that is? I'm going to put it in 2 words: skinny fat. Skinny fat. Skinny fat. What does that exactly mean? All right. So you see skinny guy, skinny girl, right? And they've been skinny all their lives. They don't run, they don't lift, they don't do anything. They smoke, they drink, but they're skinny, right? They're weak, sick, skinny fat, meaning your muscle mass on your body is way less than your fat mass, even though your body weight is good. So this is what I'm saying when that whole the whole it happens before you know it. All right? Or weight isn't everything, because you're looking at this person. Let's say this guy or girl weighs 145, they smoke, they drink, they do nothing but hang out, party, and he's skinny. Oh, look at me, I'm so skinny. You know what I mean? But he can't pick up a gallon of milk. He can't help you move the couch. He can't help do anything, doesn't do anything. All right? That is exactly what um, muscle loss can do to you later on. Now, this person, whoever, John Doe, can be whatever age. It doesn't matter. Skinny fat is can happen at any age. All right. And if you go to the doctor, all right, and as long as your cholesterol's good, and as long as all those biometrics that they take are good, they're gonna sit there and be like, yeah, you're great. Yeah, your face is sliding off your face. Yeah, you're 30 years old and you got wrinkles like you're 85, but no, you're great. Your weight's good. Your blood sugar's good. Go ahead, keep smoking, drinking, knock yourself out. All right. Maybe the liver might be a little messed up. But that's where things can be a little messed up, where the weight is good, the numbers look good, but how strong are you? You know what I mean? What's your VO2 max? What are all these other things? How strong are you? What can you do? How is your life? How's your quality of life? All right, how much muscle do you have on you? All right. So, skinny fat, no good. No good, no good. I almost feel like that's worse than being obese because when you're heavier, you at least you have to carry that weight. So to move around, I've seen some heavy dudes that can move pretty light on their feet, and for that, I commend them because to move around like that and carry that weight, that takes a lot of effort. And I think sometimes people will look at a heavy person and be like, "Oh, blah 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 blah." But if that heavy person that you're looking at is moving around like, they're uh uh going upstairs, carrying stuff upstairs, squatting down, standing up. They can touch their toes. They can do jumping jacks. They can actually sprint down the block or something. That's excellent. That's better than being skinny fat and sitting at home smoking cigarettes. You know what I'm saying? There's a big, 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 big difference. And the difference is muscle mass. I'm telling you right now. All right, so I'm gonna go through a list of what muscle is. I don't want to keep this longer than 30 minutes or so. So I'm just gonna kind of speed through this last part and then jump into the little conspiracy part. So muscle is biological insurance. It is a buffer between you and death, a slow death. All right, the more muscle you have, it's almost like easing your way into death, which sounds terrible. You know what I mean? Aside from like a heart attack or a stroke, those things, I don't know, bro. Like, you know how it is. There's some people who are super healthy and it just happens. It happens. All right. But I'm telling you right now, the more muscle you have on you, especially the older we get, it is so important. It's going to improve everything about you, your mood, your life, how easy it is to get through life. And you see people struggling doing the easiest things, and you're like, wow, I don't understand. I can do that. It's very interesting. Once you if you take your focus away from weight loss, then you take away your focus from a catatonic state. For me, let me get through this list and then we'll get into that real quick. So, buffer between you and getting sick, that's what muscle is, all right? It is what's going to keep you going, keep you healthy, keep your other internal systems working together and correctly. Um, Muscles control blood sugar, muscle control inflammation. Inflammation is modulated, all right? Energy regulated and sustained, support thermogenesis. Muscle regulates glucose, and of course, muscles is what keep you mobile. Supports thermogenesis. That's your internal body temperature helps that. Your muscles are always on. They don't turn off. Even when you're sleeping, even when you're just chilling, they are always on. They always burn energy, burn energy, burn energy, burn energy. That's why the more muscle you have, the more energy you're gonna burn while you're doing nothing. It's not going to be the same amount of energy you burn while you're doing something, but that nothing level will be higher than as if you didn't have muscle. If that makes any sense. Your idle will be higher, if that makes any sense. All right, so the less muscle you have, your rest demands drop. So the less muscle you have, the less energy you have, the less response your body does. All right, so it's a negative feedback loop. It's literally use it or lose it. The less you do, the less you can do, which means the less you do. So then the less you can do. So if going up the stairs gets hard, you stop going up the stairs. But then going up the stairs gets harder. Therefore, you stop going up the stairs. But then going up the stairs gets harder and harder and harder and harder. Therefore, you stop, 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 stop. And that's that cycle of no. That's what you don't want to get into. All right. You want to keep being able to do what you can do as long as you can do it. Say that 3, 4, 7 times. Um, so yeah, sitting around harder and harder and harder. Insulin sensitivity weighs muscle disposes glucose. All right. I don't know what that weighs was about, but insulin sensitivity. Muscle is what disposes glucose through a series of this thing called glycolysis and the Krebs cycle and electrons, blah, 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 blah. Your body takes glucose, breaks it apart, makes ATP. That's the spark. That's the energy. That's the currency your body uses as energy, ATP, adenosine triphosphate. All right. So what happens when you stop creating more muscle? When you start losing muscle, like I said before, you start to lose your balance. All right, you start to be able not to hold on to things like you used to. Um, Mobility stops. All of a sudden, oh my God, I can't lift my arms above my head. You know what I mean? I can't touch my toes. Simply because, not because there's a big belly in your way. There may be, but that may not be the issue. The issue may be your muscles are, they're just not there. And they're not used to doing what you're asking them to do. A lot of folks, when they first start training, they'll say, "Ah, I don't understand why I can't do this. It's just a lunge. It's just a this." So then I asked him, when was the last time you lunged? Never. Okay, well then here's a violin. Can you play it? No. When was the last time you played a violin? Never. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. All right, exercising is a skill. It's not just gonna happen because, oh, it's my body. I just have to lunge. No, no, no. It's your body. All you have to do is sprint. Let me see you sprint. Okay. So that's how things start to decline. Very little things. All right. And you'll notice it. For instance, sometimes uh, uh, when you're going up the steps and all of a sudden, boop, you trip over that step, like, oh, snap. You know what I mean? Now you have to kind of think about it a little bit more and be more proactive in trying to prevent that to happen. That's like minute. Multiply that 10 times, and that's what happens when you don't do anything about it. All right. All right. So moving on. When mechanical loading stops, aging accelerates. When you stop lifting stuff, I tell people this all the time. Look around and you're going to see someone shuffling their feet, or they walk and they're shuffling their feet and they have issues stepping up onto a sidewalk and things like that. And that's because they stopped bearing a load. They stopped carrying things. They stopped picking things up. They stopped adding resistance to their everyday life. You know what I'm saying? Because they're older, they have someone else that they can do it for them, a grandchild, a great grandchild, a son, daughter, whatever. And when you stop loading, that's when, and not only that, it affects your bone density. So then, for instance, you lift, your muscles get bigger in order to lift that, but your bones get thicker in order to resist that lift. I don't think people really realize, what your bones do other than sit there, and look cool during Halloween. You know what I'm saying? If your bones can't carry that dumbbell when you're doing a press or a curl or whatever, they will snap. They will break. You know what I'm saying? Like if you put a 40-pound dumbbell in an infant's hand and say, go ahead and curl it, and for some reason the infant tries, it will break. You know what I'm saying? Because it hasn't had that kind of resistance applied to it in order to fight that resistance. And that's what happens when you train, when you lift. All right. And it's not just muscle. It's your nervous system, it's your skeletal system, it's your endocrine system, because now your endocrine system gets the chance to flood you with these hormones that, like, finally, bro, you know what I mean? Here, dude, we've been trying to give these to you, but you have to earn it. You got to earn that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Mechanical loading stops, aging accelerates. A little longer than I wanted it to be. But there it is. There's the beginning of it. All right. Chapter one. What the fuck is going on? What's going on is that your muscle is saying, peace, I'm out. All right. We had a few good years. Boom. And you got to sit there and say, whoa, whoa, no, 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 no. Come on, man. I'll pay you OT. I need you to stick around and help me out because I got other things that I want to do. All right. You have to have that kind of relationship with your body, with your muscle. No, with your body. You know what I'm saying? You got to start listening to what your body is telling you. All right. Not just in here. You probably should stop listening to what this is telling you and start listening to the rest. All right. Because this will tell you a lot of things that this disagrees with. All right. So now I'm going to get the conspiracy. Why isn't anyone talking about this? Why doesn't your doctor say you need to lift weights? I posed the question before. Is it because they don't want to tell you? Is it because they're taught not to tell you? Is it because they don't know? And there could be a million other reasons. All right. But why? Are they taught? Are they taught to not know about exercising and building muscle and how it relates to aging in order, again, this conspiracy part, in order to keep us sick? Because if everyone's trying to lose weight, that kind of puts everyone in a deficit. And most folks, when they say I want to lose weight, the first thing they want to do is starve themselves. Or for instance, they do start taking some peptides or some supplements and this and that, which is great because at least they're thinking about moving forward. But the problem is you only do it half-ass. You take whatever, the injection, the pill, whatever it is, and then you sit back and go like this and you watch yourself. Oh, look at me, I'm getting so skinny and I'm getting so healthy. No, you're not, because you're missing the other part. You have to support that weight loss with a good diet, all right, and exercise. But there's that stupid word again, exercise, because exercise is so broad. What do you mean exercise? You tell someone I'm going to exercise, boom, I'm going to start running. I'm going to start jogging and treadmilling and ellipticling, right? Great. That's fine. You go back to the doctor, he says, oh, that's great. You've been hitting the treadmill. Good for you. But he doesn't tell you, all right, now you got to hit the weights too, and explain to you why it's so important, especially as we age, to hit those weights. The muscles are an endocrine organ. They work together, is what I'm trying to say. They work very, very closely together. And if one is gone, then the other one's going to follow. And if the endocrine system is gone, the nervous system starts to go. All right. Everything that makes you will start to go, and then you'll start to feel whatever it is. I don't know. It might display itself as anxiety or depression or diabetes, heart disease, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But when you have something, for instance, if you're diabetic, it's not just a sugar thing. It's not just an insulin thing. You got to get away from that. It's an entire body thing. Every system in your body is debilitated. Therefore, you can't think of it as just it's this and it's this. No. This and this, insulin and glucose, is what kind of is being expressed. But you have to dig deep. You have to dig deep in order to get to the real issue. And the real issue is that your systems are all fucked up and you have to fix them. Start by lifting weights. It's the easiest, cheapest thing you can do. Start by lifting weights. Now, if you're already diabetic, if you're already on peptides, if you're already doing GLP and you're doing this and you're doing that and this and that and then this and that, hopefully you're not doing all of that, because then, I don't know, it might be a different issue. That's great, but don't stop there. Put muscle on your body. If you're 50, 60, 70, 80, get off that treadmill, get on those machines, and start lifting weights. Ladies, you don't need to be bulky. Ladies, you can never get bulky unless you supplement yourself, you rigid with your diet. And your protein intake has to be skyrocketing. You have to put a lot of effort in order for you to get big and bulky. So ladies, you are not going to get bulky. All you need to do is put on more muscle than you have now. All right. You can still hit the treadmill. You can still hit the elliptical, the stepper, and all that stuff. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying you need to also lift weights. All right. My name is Loami EM3, Strength and Conditioning, the conspiracy against muscle, the truth you were not being told. This is episode 1. It went a little longer than I wanted it, because I want to tell you a little bit more about us and stuff like that. But this is exactly what we're going to talk about. All right, next week we're going to talk about you can't outrun a strength training regimen. You can't outrun strength training. All right, guys. So EM3 strength and conditioning, the conspiracy against muscle, the truth you are not being told. We're going over why it is very important to lift heavy, to lift weights, to resistance train as we get older. All right. Thanks for watching. This is going to be on Facebook. I'm also going to put it on YouTube. I'm going to put it on Instagram. And I'm going to put my the references. I'm referencing a certain book. It's a great book. It's only an audio book. I looked for it on a hard copy. It's called Strength and Longevity, Resistance Training After 50, something like that. So the reason I'm actually quoting this book real quick, the reason I'm using this book is because I came across it, and this is something I've been looking into. I'm researching, actually not even researching, just something that I was really thinking about. Like, why don't people, you know, talk about lifting and stuff? So I started looking all that stuff, about how muscle works, what muscle does. Then I started finding, like, good hard documentary videos about um the musculoskeletal system and how it affects the endocrine system and how that affects everything else. And I was like, wow, I don't understand why people aren't talking about this. So yeah, that's what I want to do, man. I just want you guys to be the best version of yourselves, especially as you get older. All right, EM3 strength and conditioning. One more time, the muscle against conspiracy, the conspiracy against muscle, the truth you're not being told. Your boy Lo here from once again EM3 strength conditioning.